I must also add, Alan, that I did look at Larry's life. The reason why we didn't start off going through his youth and everything was because it sort of hits a lot of the notes that we have talked to in previous ones. Dear. He's not. His parents had divorced a couple times, I think 3 times in total. He is subjected to some sort of physical abuse from one of his stepdads, the extent of which I'm not sure. Couldn't see the full details of it. Don't think there was sexual abuse involved. It seems like he was like giving him a good hide in being, which I don't know. Unfortunately, back in the day again. Oh my God, are we going to have to contend with fireworks outside?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, to our amazing listeners, sorry, but people seem to be setting off fireworks, so apologies. If you hear those, sorry about that. But he did have a kind of fucked up childhood, but from the things I could see, I don't think it was any more fucked up than, I think we know people ourselves in our friendship groups, maybe. In our larger friendship groups who maybe have had similar things like this. Yeah. It's no more extreme than that, and they didn't turn out to be fucked up serial killers.
No, I agree.
So, no excuse. So that was just a little brief history on Larry and where he sort of came from, just to give you a little idea. Okay. And obviously, at this point, since the police had no other leads, the officers decided to concentrate on Larry at this point. So they literally had no one else in their sights.
Makes
Larry
sense,
seems like a good enough contender. Yeah. Let's have a little nosy what's going on in Larry's life.
Yeah, makes sense.
He was shadowed daily by the police, photographed as he travelled to and from work, and was followed to various bars after dark. During that particular time, though, Larry was never seen to be doing anything that might incriminate him in murder. So, followed, they were nosing about, but unfortunately, nothing happened.
But maybe he knew they was following him.
Don't think so. Maybe he did, but the information, he's never... I don't want to spoil anything by saying what did or didn't happen, but
no, don't say anything then.
It's not revealed that he knew. He's not clever. He's not. There's no revelation that he's understood that they were following him.
Okay.
So far, nothing's happening with the observations. Then on August 27th, police trailed Larry to an Indianapolis gay bar, watching as he left a short time later with another chap. Larry drove his one-night stand to a Greencastle motel where they rented a room, which is kind of strange because normally, from what they had known, Larry liked to fuck outside, essentially, Alan.
Okay.
He was an outdoorsy guy. He was one with nature, essentially. He liked to go outside, do it in the back of his truck. And because he had changed his pattern with that, the police were kind of nervous because they thought, maybe Larry's going to kill this guy while we're just picking our assholes outside. Yeah. So one of the police crept up to the room and peered through the window. But there was no signs of any crime. Once again, no signs of any crime. The leads aren't going anywhere. They can't find anything. Nothing's going on. Spooky. Eerie. Why isn't he doing anything?
I don't know.
Tell me. No. 3 days later, near midnight on August 30th, 1983, 28-year-old Ralph Calise left the apartment he shared with his girlfriend in the Chicago suburb of Oak Park, Illinois. Apparently, Ralph liked to have a bit of a party and often disappeared overnight, but he did usually always return home.
Okay.
The day after, on August 31st, a tree trimming crew found Ralph's mutilated corpse in Lake Forest. Lake Forest, though, right near the sites where Gustavo Herrera and Irvin Gibson were previously murdered in April 83. So very close. All these bodies have been found quite close together. Mm-hmm. Ralph Calise's murder did seem to fit the highway killer's pattern. He was found naked to the waist. His pants had been pulled down and had been stabbed 17 times with a long-bladed knife, virtually disemboweled.
Oh my God.
Marks on his wrists suggested he was handcuffed prior to death, and tire tracks and footprints at the scene offered police their first real clues. So, it's so insane that there's been so many deaths, but they're only just sort of getting some actual clues, and they've got a vague idea of this random Larry guy who may or may not be doing anything. It's so insane that this is all that they're able to find so far. A review of the Illinois cases to date told police that 4 highway killer victims, Crockett, Johnson, Herrera, and Calise, had lived in or near the Uptown neighborhood before they were murdered and dumped into the outlying districts. So they don't live quite close together, but the bodies are obviously sort of bumped. Let's not say it. Bumped. Dumped. Dumped in different places.
Yeah.
Perhaps more interestingly, though, Alan, Herrera and Calise had once lived only 2 doors apart on North Kenmore Street. So some of these victims were quite close together. They probably knew each other, maybe, or at least knew of each other, maybe. Around the time these particular revelations broke, on September 3rd, 1983, Illinois detectives also learned for the first time of Indiana's ongoing investigation into 4 similar cases of their own. So, for the first time in this entire case, the 2 counties link.
Makes sense.
They understand that there are murders, very similar murders going on there and there.
Yes.
This particular connection, with the whole fact that they were close together, it grew even stronger when Chicago officers heard about a man named Craig Townsend. Craig had been previously taken from the Uptown neighborhood on October 12th, 1982, by a man who drove across the state line. Craig had been drugged, beaten, then dumped semi-conscious near Lowell in Indiana. Similar-ish to a few of the others, right?
Yeah.
He was luckily picked up and taken to a hospital. However, Craig fled without describing his attacker to the police. So he up and left the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The reason for that is possibly, it's worth noting for later that even though Craig sort of pissed off at the hospital and was essentially missing to the authorities for a little while, they did have his mugshot on file because it had been taken for a previous arrest that he had for drug possession. So I'm guessing maybe that's why he pissed off.
Maybe.
Possibly. Jump to September 8th, 1983. Investigators from Waukegan, I think so, really. Waukegan and Indianapolis gathered at Crown Point, Indiana for a conference on the highway murders. FBI agents were invited to attend the gathering and provided a psychological profile of the slayer. The FBI profile described the killer as a male who likely wore hyper-masculine military-type clothes and hung out in redneck bars in a bid to deny his own sexuality. According to the FBI, the murder after the sex was the ultimate denial, and with certain corpses covered with leaves or loose dirt to try and hide the final act.
Yeah.
Eerily close to the description that the gay newspaper made, and also eerily accurate to Larry. Right?
Yeah.
It's quite so clever how they can do that, right?
I don't get how they do it, even going down to the clothes. I don't get it.
So clever. Well, we watch Mindhunters, right? Maybe that'll give us a little look at them.
Yeah, true.
They can just guess, like, it's sort of like personality things, right?
Yeah.
Super clever. So, Indiana detectives agreed that the profile seemed to fit Larry Eiler in all respects, from his marine clothes, caps and shirts, to his drinking and sort of the night drives in his pickup truck.
Yeah.
With knowledge of Larry's frequent business trips to Chicago, Illinois police gave the Indiana authorities photographs of the tire tracks and footprints from the Ralph Calise murder scene for future comparison, if they were ever to sort of find it.
Makes sense.
So it's like, if you ever find it, here's some photos.
Yeah.
Check it out. They also agreed to keep an eye on him if he did ever surface in Chicago. Things, Alan, were starting to come together. And before the month was over, Indiana State Police would finally have their chance to stop the highway killer for good.
Oh.
But they would prove to be gravely unprepared. And that, Alan, is part 1 of our story of Larry Eiler, a.k.a. the highway killer.
Ooh.
Well, we've got to be honest with you. We've got to be honest with the listeners at home. We just took a small little break, but then as I was looking through the rest of the notes on this case, I was like, shit, this is going to be another hour's worth.
Yeah. So I just asked him how long's left.
And I was scrolling through my notes.
His thumb just kept on going up and down on his phone. I was like, oh no, this is a long one.
This is a bit. I did say at the start that it's a big, long dong silver one.
I think
It's a very big, long dong silver. But what we'll do, we've got our technical issues sorted, so we'll make sure that we do post part 2 on time, promptly on next Wednesday morning. No delays, because we don't want people hanging on. It's a bit of a cliffhanger we've left on there.
That is a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's a cliffhanger for me as well. I don't have a clue what's going on.
Oh, well, I do.
I know you do.
So, yeah.
I'm in the same boat as all of you guys.
I didn't plan this to be a 2-parter, but it just has turned out that way.
It makes sense, to be fair.
Because it's very interesting. It's a very interesting case. It is very interesting.
Yeah.
If I'd known it was going to be a 2-parter, I probably would have mixed things up at the start a little bit more. But, oh well. You know what? Is it Carpe Diem? I don't fuck it. Is my
Seize the day.
Seize the day. Seize the day. Seize the day. Okay, well, that was a surprise. Once again, apologies for the impromptu 2-parter. It was very unplanned, but I think it will lend itself well to the narrative of this story because it deserves to have the time it deserves, really.
Yeah.
Don't really want to rush through it too much, especially...
I was going to say, we would be rushing too much.
Yes. There's certain bits that I definitely don't want to rush through.
It's very Jeff Goldblum.
I think...
Yes.
I think I do get occasionally possessed by the future spirit of Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
No, shut up. You're going to distract me from my flow of thought. I'm going to kick you. Subscribe on everything. If you listen to iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, whatever, subscribe to the podcast. It really does help us out a lot. Also, follow us on all social medias if you really want to. Those will be in the show notes down below. Alan, any words from yourself?
Have a nice Halloween.
Have a lovely, jubbly, spookalicious, spanktastic Halloween. Spanktastic Halloween. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, and everybody in between, thank you very much indeed for listening once again. It's very much appreciated. All the support just by listening. I have been Mike James.
And I've been Alan.
And make sure to tune in next Wednesday for the second part of this episode and even more adventures in Murderland. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bicycles of the weird. Would you like to see something strange?